How romantic. The idea of a connection that transcends lifetimes through the barriers of time, and here we meet again. It feels fated, inevitable, like picking up a conversation mid-sentence that began in a different era. The South Node shows us the lessons that we've already mastered or have an innate knack for. We come into this life with the traits of the South Node sign already, quote unquote, in the bag. In the book, Discovering Your Soul Mission by Linda Brady and Evan St. Lifer, they write, quote, "It represents your most familiar thoughts, feelings, and beliefs." The South Node is our comfort zone. It's what we're naturally good at, and often the talents and traits that we lean on, sometimes to the point of becoming a crutch, a place where we stagnate if we refuse to evolve. We carry a kind of wisdom here. Think of it as a wise old man who has decades of experience, but who may also be stuck in his ways. He refuses to change. He refuses to leave the swamp, even if he's become outdated, stagnant, or irrelevant. It could also talk about the early conditioning in this life, the automatic behaviors that we default to without even thinking. In relationships, the South Node can act as both a lesson and a trap. When someone's planet or angle aligns with your South Node, or vice versa, it often feels like an uncanny familiarity, as if you've known this person before. Things may flow easily at first, but over time the relationship can become stagnant or repetitive if there's no clear purpose or growth. To briefly piggyback off of the last video on Diddy and Cassie's case, the South Node is one of those binding karmic aspects that seemed to play out in the toxic cycle between them. We see how Diddy's Venus and Jupiter both sat on Cassie's South Node and Venus in Libra. Too much of a good thing. That's due to Jupiter. Jupiter expands whatever it touches. Expansion can be a blessing or a curse, depending on what aspects are being made. As with everything else, an excess of beauty breeds vanity, excess of money breeds greed, and excess of charm can blind us to danger. That's the mix of the Jupiter and Venus on the South Node. Excess becomes wasteful. It becomes sickening when consumed without restraint. Excess eventually destroys the very thing it was supposed to enhance. Diddy, in this case, held the keys to everything Cassie desired: fame, wealth, beauty, and power. But at what cost? Beauty, luxury, indulgence, and the promise of status. All of these things that we saw for ourselves and how it unfolded and how tainted and toxic things became. She endured abuse, broke away, returned. She ran away and then was dragged back. A cycle of detachment and reattachment. Classic South Node dynamics. When someone's planet hits your South Node, or vice versa, It can feel like you've known each other forever. There's an uncanny familiarity. Things click, they flow. There's almost no getting to know you phase. I already feel you from a lifetime ago. But here's the catch. Eventually, things stagnate. There's resistance to change. The ego clings. The connection wants to hold on, even when the lesson has already been learned. We tell ourselves, things are fine. We just need to make it work. Red flags are ignored. The relationship flatlines, or worse, it becomes toxic. Trying to chase that initial connection, reigniting that familiar feeling that runs so deeply, like we don't want to miss out. The South Node in Synastry can serve two purposes: a soul check or a soul trap. The soul check, it says, this feels easy. I've done this before. But is this the end of the road or just a checkpoint? In the soul trap, when there's no growth, there's no direction, just endless looping. Attaching, reattaching, coming together, cutting, disengaging, separating, on and on and on. Another example is Blueface and Krishan Rock. Blueface's sun is at 0 degrees in Aquarius, and it conjuncts Krishan's South Node and Neptune in Aquarius at 2 degrees. That in itself is a strong pull. Add in Krishan's Pisces sun near Blueface's Aries South Node. It's a wider degree orb by 8 degrees, but it's still within that conjunction area. And you've got a complicated web. Blueface's sun being conjunct Krishan's South Node in Aquarius created a strong initial bond, a strong friendship. Their relationship began with promise, with fame, music, and a bright future. But then, as we saw, it spiraled. Over time, the relationship became a cycle of attachment and detachment, reflecting the challenges and breaking free from the South Node patterns, abuse, chaos, and a media spectacle. The South Node gravity pulled them both down. We saw the attempts of trying to stick together and reestablishing their relationship through the fights, the threats, the face tattoo, the bringing of a child into the world, the broken tooth, to show the extent of what one would do to be with the other. And each time it kept getting worse. In emphasis of my last statement, the South Node gravity pulled them both down. I want to quote Kevin Burke from his book, The Complete Node Book. The trap of the South Node is a tendency to stick with what is familiar, which can mean that we miss opportunities for growth and repeat old patterns. To summarize the South Node, it represents our past, whether that's a past life, childhood conditioning, or a psychological imprint. Again, from Kevin Burke. Even though the South Node represents lessons and skills that we have learned, used, and often mastered in the past, It also indicates that we still have more to learn about them in this lifetime. We may have learned the skills too well and limited our growth in other areas. So, what about you? Take a look at your birth chart. Look at your South Node sign and the house, if you have your time. And now reflect on your most meaningful or notable relationships. Were there South Node connections? Most notably would be South Node making conjunction to the Sun, the Ascendant, Moon, Mercury, Mars. Most notably, think about how they played out. Did they feel easy and natural at first? Did they become repetitive, draining, or difficult to escape? And when you think about it too, sometimes these connections come from people we can't walk away from, at least not so easily. Like a parent, a spouse, a child, a boss. These relationships force us to grow. They push us into the unknown, the uncharted territory of the North Node. Ideally, throughout our life, we use the wisdom of the South Node to help propel us into the unfamiliar terrain of our North Node, which is the sign and house that's directly opposite the South Node. This is where growth happens. The goal isn't to abandon the South Node, but to integrate its strengths while moving forward. In relationships, this can mean appreciating the comfort and the familiarity of the South Node while embracing the growth and challenges of the North Node. The North Node is not easy, and in itself, it forms a mirage as well in its own right. It's uncomfortable and it's often resisted. It's the karmic North Star guiding us towards our highest potential and development within our current lifetime. Where the South Node is what we were, the North Node is what we are becoming. Every relationship, whether it aligns with your South Node or North Node, offers valuable lessons. Even challenging relationships can serve as catalysts for growth if approached with awareness and an open heart. The North Node is the mission, and the South Node is the memory, a familiar mirage. One comforts us, the other challenges us, and both are necessary for the soul's evolution. Thank you.